Wow, look at how interactive this is. It is very, very important for everybody to remain interactive. Keeping everybody used to each other is very important. Understand also that they have to remain healthy. They have to always remain healthy, so you always have to increase those wages in a very healthy manner. And that's mandatory healthcare guidelines by law. Every employee, $10-$20 after tax withholdings. After medical insurance withholdings. Every pay period, every employee, $10-$20 for a guaranteed wage increase every 3 months. It's a must that you remain having everybody used to each other. It's very important for disease prevention. Right? Healthy habits, healthy communication, spreading the good word. Building, cleaning, landscaping, teaching new languages, just being a good person overall, making it look great. Cleaning your water, being there for animals, being there for their surroundings is very, very healthy. Look, all police, CIA, FBI, military, border patrol with the detainees, spreading the good word, staying connected. It builds trust, understanding, healthier environments. And this is the same unity that must remain in every single workplace. Every single workplace must be school themed, very fun, welcoming. Languages always constantly taught from everywhere around the world. Cooking, cleaning, maintaining shelf life, caring for foods. All drugs legally creates demand in labor work. Having everything presented in front of us. Nothing made harmful on the unseen. And that's how impactful great relations are. You have more knowledge in knowing all of your surroundings with no assumptions. When you start dictating, belittling, then information is withheld from you. Because people want a guaranteed great life. Which is why you need to always implement those mandatory healthcare guidelines, increasing those wages very, very healthy. Everyone building constantly. Everyone must remain under healthy living standards at all times. Every single time. Because you're going to be around each other all the time. People getting sick is no joke. Look, all healthy habits implemented at all times must have great leadership examples at all times. Right? Everybody needs a nice example given on what leads them to a great life at all times. Right? Always be welcoming. Always provide opportunities to grow. If they don't know how to do it, you provide them that great opportunity with corrections at all times. You can gain a lot by the initial run and exercise because people care about their health, people care about the way they look, right? So that says a lot. Just like the motion is your body speaking to itself, and that activates healthy receptors that amplifies your health and your beauty. So understand these are proven results, not wishful thinking. And this is guaranteed peaceful environments, right? When you always provide that right direction instead of always adapting to your own paranoia. All right, no more funding shit only for a shitty life when it's clear to see everybody that walks out of the house doesn't want a shitty life. Great leadership, right, from all government officials, detainees with corrections, all interacting healthy, mandatory healthy guidelines, always implemented, constantly building, cooking, cleaning, serving public safety the correct way. It's all understanding because every time everybody comes out, they want to have a great life to live, as God promised. So I want to take a moment and provide an opportunity to educate. So you see this forest is, this clump of nature, once grows and unmaintenance, it grows collectful, harmful debris, right? When the wind every day is passing by, when the communities are interacting every single day, business thriving constantly, understand this is one of the main causes of allergies, of accumulated symptoms over time that trigger asthma. And over time, if unmaintenanced, which is why there's populations, and to a certain extent, it does feed the harvest where animals eat, but you always have to take it for consideration, the overall outcomes in all speculations, right? And also understand that certain species and animals will migrate to these environments where they could eat, but they also have to be maintained, right? Because wind constantly keeps coming around all the time, right? Sweet. And what is the reason to our law officials, police, military, border patrol with the detainees? Why is it okay? You shouldn't have anybody live in these standards. You can take a home line of equity and make the house brand new. Why are you wasting your time? Why are you playing with your health? Why are you playing with your community when you can have everything around you beautiful and brand new? You don't, is that what you want your surroundings to be? Huh? Or do you want it to be glorified, godly, everyone in brand new living standards, everything healthy? Somebody's not following the mandatory healthcare guidelines that they should be following. And that ends now. A healthy environment at all times. How beautiful, right? This is why we don't disclose our relationships and partnerships. We get right to work, right to leading by example, right to healthcare. There's a whole humongous world to keep healthy. You will always be redirected to the right direction, always, if needed. Perfect. Getting documentation while working at the same time. Great relationships, disease prevention at its finest. Using our resources and knowledge where it's of use. A lot of training won't be necessary, but will be educational. So look at how, you see dead grass, live grass, and you wonder how these trees are still up and thriving, right? Well, that just goes to show how deep and humongous those roots get. So they can be getting their life source from a mile away, literally. And it travels. And then moisture builds up in those tight space areas where in an extent it gives off that moisture of food that creates into water. Certain foods generate sap, but that sap also needs to be created by the same water feed source. Same concept with these clogged areas, right? So it does make sense why this type of environment gives life. But as I explained earlier, it's necessary that it should be maintained and looked out for, because just as firm as the law and mandatory healthcare guidelines are, it brings understanding so people won't cross the line because people get curious. So how do you suppress that curiosity? You always remain constant on the good word and education and lessons learned and warnings and things we've constantly been through, outcomes of horrific tragedy, down to the outcomes of a great life with healthy patterns to be implemented always. But something has to be extremely firm to bring understanding so we can get right to work. And that's why work must always have peaceful environments. Work always must be very youthful and fun and school themed, with tons of languages to learn. Understand that bringing understanding, that's where all that tons of great equity lands, to where, hey, we won't see any funds of profit there, but someone extremely educated will. We'll see our profits through the foundation of work in peaceful environments because we brought that understanding to all. So every business around the world must follow mandatory healthcare guidelines so everybody can remain under healthy living standards at all time. Every employee, $10, $20 after tax withholdings, medical insurance. Every pay period, $10, $20 for a guaranteed wage increase every 3 months. That's never going to stop. In every workplace, school themed, learning languages from all parts of the world. After master, there's now new life that rapidly keeps producing that needs to know and be taught. These are our duties for a great life and peaceful life, unbothered, and should not be taken for granted. Illnesses become airborne, and it spreads like wildfire. So once we know over time what we're working with, make sure that firmness and right direction is always implemented. Again, I'm Mr. Roman from the Bible. I predicted the pandemic in 2016 when God told me very directly, and it actually happened in 2020 with investigative proof. It's classified because we do not want you to waste our time when there's a whole world to keep healthy. Always been in your payroll, always will be in your payroll, with all of our families together, helping hands, working together, always cooking, cleaning, teaching, learning, new languages, building. Everybody must remain under healthy living standards at all times. Bringing understanding guarantees that work going smoothly, and that's what everybody desperately needs in the workplace, or it all comes crumbling down. Get to work the right way. God bless you. You are loved and cared for by God. Every single person, all of life is always going to be extremely appreciated. Everyone, all of life will know God very personally. With our law officials and detainees always on the right direction, this must remain clean at all times. Urinals should not be this dirty. That creates health risk. Sinks should not be this dirty. It collects health risk. Let's keep it simple. Nobody wants this, right? A clogged restroom. Then you lead this example, people are gonna already be fixed on thinking, hey, that's the new norm, right? Look, clogged when it shouldn't be. This needs to be swept and mopped. They did the restocking on the paper, right? But you can repaint every single day.